Now on CoastTV News.
Canalfront Park Playground, why a new petition is calling on the city of Lewis for safety upgrades.
Bike safety in Ocean City, how officials are looking to keep cyclists off busy roads.
President Trump and Ukrainian's President Zelensky meet again, what this could mean for a future ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine.
And we are expecting to stay a bit on the blustery side on the beaches for tonight and for the next few days in a row. I'll have more on what I'm tracking coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
Children playing at the park in Lewis. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. We begin tonight with a call for safety and improvements at a playground in Lewis.
Canalfront Park was reopened this spring with upgrades, the goal to make it more accessible and safe. But CoastTV News reporter Emma Aken live there. And Emma, some parents now are asking for more.
Maddie, we're here at Canalfront Park Playground where you can see kids, parents, families having fun behind me. But take a look over here. Just several yards from the playground is the canal. And that short distance to the water is what has some parents worried and asking for the city to put a fence around the playground. Siobhan Park is the Lewis parent who installed the petition asking for the installation of a fence around this playground. That petition has more than 200 signatures now. Park says she was disappointed when the playground upgrades didn't include a fence, noting its proximity to the water. A mom of two, Park worries about the risk of drowning and says a fence would be an added layer of security.
In no way does a fence replace parental supervision. I think anyone who has been to the playground with several children can attest, like I said, to how quickly toddlers can be. This is not a replacement, it's an added layer of protection.
The city of Lewis is discussing the petition at their Parks and Recreation Commission meeting that began at 5. Reporting live here in Lewis, Emma Aken, Coast TV News.
With locals petitioning for an added fence around the park, let's take a moment to highlight some of the current features of that park. It cost about $455,000, and Canalfront Park avoided using mulch and built the park with safety surfacing to reduce risk of injury when kids fall. There's a large pirate ship there with a slide, and there is a wheelchair-accessible merry-go-round as well.
This brings us into our Coast TV poll. We want to know, what do you think? What's most important in a playground near the water?
Let's take a look at the results so far, and 72% say parental supervision, 23% say safety barriers, 4% say kid freedom, 1% say easy access, and 0% at the moment say natural views.
And that echoes a little bit what we heard in the soundbite there about parental supervision being number one, but then number two being some sort of impediment there. If you haven't voted yet, you can do that at coasttv.com or use our mobile app. You can also leave us a comment. You may soon be able to ride your bike a little longer on the Ocean City Boardwalk. Tonight, the Ocean City Council will debate increasing the hours for bikers. As of right now, they can ride between 2 a.m. and 11 a.m. But the change they're considering would start earlier at midnight and end later at noon. One bike store owner in town thinks that this would increase safety for people riding back home after work.
I think it's a good idea to keep the ones on scooters and bicycles out of the streets that don't get run over on the way home.
The town will decide tonight if this change takes effect.
Today, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky returned to the White House, his first official visit to the Oval Office since February's testy meeting with President Trump. Julie Sirkin shows us how more than a half dozen European leaders joined Zelensky as they search for an end to the war.
At the White House, a show of solidarity. European leaders and the head of NATO joining Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in his latest meeting with President Trump.
Thank you very much for being here.
It's the next step as the president pushes for an end to Russia's war against Ukraine, now in its 4th year. The goal? Getting Zelensky and President Vladimir Putin to meet face to face.
I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat, and I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
The high-stakes conversations follow Friday's unusual summit in Alaska, where the president rolled out the red carpet, literally, for Putin. But talks were cut short, and President Trump returned to Washington without a peace deal or a ceasefire agreement.
We're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today, and we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues.
And Ukraine is looking for security guarantees to prevent another Russian invasion in the future.
There'll be a lot of help. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good.
Russia wants to keep the Ukrainian territory it occupied, about 20% of the country.
He's certainly asking for things that the Ukrainians and others are not willing to be supportive of, and that we're not going to push them to give.
President Trump has signaled Ukraine might have to concede some regions to Russia, something Zelensky may not agree to, but saying today.
We need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners. We will do our best for this.
It was Zelensky's first visit to the White House since February's contentious Oval Office meeting.
You don't have the cards right now.
Now, both sides hoping for a smoother relationship, which leads to peace. And during that meeting with President Trump, President Zelensky passed along a letter from his wife to Melania Trump. You'll remember it comes after President Trump hand-delivered a letter from the First Lady to Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday, urging him to end the war because of the children being affected by it. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
Due to high winds and heavy surf conditions, the Rehoboth Beach Patrol is prohibiting swimmers today under a red flag advisory. The heavy surf and increased riptides will likely continue to increase through Thursday. According to the town of Dewey Beach, they're also closing waters to beachgoers. And we're going to take a live look at Rehoboth right now. You can see it's a little wavy out there as we check in with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams. Paul?
Well, we've been dealing with rain throughout the entire day, but residual effects from this gigantic storm right now, we're actually seeing some of the reverberations of that, even though the outer bands are so far away. That's just how powerful Aaron actually is. But right now in Milford, we're still a bit on the soggy side with temperatures in the 60s, and we're going to stay in the upper 60s to low 70s with cloudy skies. 70s is where we reside right now, 72 in Milton and Lewis, 72 degrees also at Bethany Beach. Here's a look at the winds now. That's going to be our basic thing that we're going to continue to keep a close eye on. The winds right now coming out of the east northeast at about 37 mile per hour wind gusts in Indian River Inlet, 31 mile per hour wind gusts Rehoboth Beach, 25 mile per hour wind gusts in Bethany Beach, as well as Ocean City. So let's dig into what's happening right now. We have a frontal boundary, stationary frontal boundary with a small scale low that's right off of the water that's helping to create the cloud cover and the rain that we're experiencing right now. But we are continuing to keep a close eye on what's happening. Rip current statement is in effect for the beaches along the coast for us throughout a good portion of Sussex. Now, this is staying in effect at the very least until Tuesday. I anticipate it being extended a little bit beyond that. Then we also have a currently issued beach hazard statement for Ocean City Bayshore Acres. Now, what this is talking about is pretty much the same thing. Rip current concerns, as well as the possibility of beach erosion as a side car, so to speak, of this train that's rolling through steadily. Small craft advisory active, so we're looking for 25 mile per hour wind gusts off of the coast. And then we also, throughout the inland areas, we're concerned about coastal flooding. That's what all the green is about throughout all of Sussex, because we're bracing for a continuation of the scattered showers for tonight going into tomorrow. As we widen the scope here, I want you to get a feel as to what's happening. Here's Aaron right now. This is a satellite depiction of what's going on. We get updates at 5, 11, and 5 o'clock, respectively, every 6 hours. But it is a massive storm in diameter in excess of 600 miles. But even with that being the case, listen, it is still 757 miles away from us, but it is still starting to be a concern for us. So we'll keep a close eye on its movement. By the way, we are watching out for scattered showers to kick in for later on tonight, particularly after the 11 o'clock hour. We'll have more on the details of Aaron coming up in a moment. Till then, back to you, Maddie.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Well, hey, if you drive in Milford, you're going to want to listen to this. DelDOT is doing some bridge painting work on Coastal Highway between Cedar Beach Road and Northeast Front Street. It starts this Friday, August 22nd. Here's a map of that area specifically on the highway. Now, the purpose is to clean and paint the structural steel and concrete. DelDOT expects the work to be done later this year, fall exactly, and drivers should expect lane closures Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, but those are not supposed to be happening throughout the entire project.
Coming up later, more on Hurricane Aaron as it's shifting to the north, what people on the coast have in store.
And coastal concerns are rising in light of rip current and flood advisories being recently issued in our area. More on that coming right up.
But first, an Easton pastor returns home. What led up to him coming back? Up next.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
On your screen now are shots of the chapel where a pillar of the Easton community works. Pastor Daniel Fuentes Espinal made it back to the Eastern Shore late last week after being detained by ICE in July. That was after overstaying his visa. It was followed by large reactions from both the public and government officials. We spoke with some people from the community, and here's what one person had to say about it.
I think it says that Easton is very caring and progressive, and I think it says that there's a lot of people here that really care about the right thing happening. And if you really come, it's a small town on a very, small area, but when you come and you look and when instances happen, like the people of this community stand up for what's right and they stand up for what they believe in.
Espinal was actually granted bond last week, but the family chose to delay announcing his release out of concern for his safety.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. In Cambridge, we're looking for 3 straight days of scattered showers. Temperatures well below the norm for this time of the year. And we're bracing for breezy conditions in Crisfield, but not just there. Several other areas. We'll talk about that as we update the latest on how Aaron is affecting us. Don't be surprised if additional beaches are closed, though we have word that they closed it down for us in Rehoboth Beach because of the winds and the conditions there. But take a look at Ocean City right now. It's looking a bit choppy there as well. And we have small craft advisories active as well. So not an ideal time to be on the beach. And don't be surprised if some additional beaches are calling to task the idea of keeping you away for your safety. We're going to expect temperatures to stay in the low 70s with the drizzle to light rain to steady showers. That mixture of annoying precipitation that will continue, unfortunately, for the rest of this Monday, keeping it looking just like a perfect Monday, right? We have breezy conditions along the beaches, 30 to 37 mile per hour wind gusts between Rehoboth Beach and Indian River Inlet, looking at 26 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts in places like Bethany Beach as well as Ocean City. This is a look at where we are right now. We're not seeing widespread heavy showers, but a sprinkle here and a sprinkle there is enough to annoy you, but the wind's making it uncomfortable. It's still very cloudy and a milky skyline, so to speak. Coastal flood advisory is active until the rest of the evening. We'll keep a close eye on that possibility, but the bigger concern, I believe, will be the rip current possibility for St. Louis, Rehoboth, Dewey, Ocean City, Fenwick Island. Now, this stays in effect until 8 o'clock. We're watching out for rip currents and very blustery conditions along the coast for Sussex County and the beach communities there, but not just there. Ocean City, West Ocean City, all the way down to Chincoteague. Beach hazard statement basically is saying the same thing, concerned about rip currents, possibility of some flooding, and even erosion is a concern at this point. A wider view shows you that we're just staying convoluted, cloudy, overcast for the entire mid-Atlantic. Not much is moving because we're seeing it pushed along with a quasi-stationary or stationary boundary. A low-pressure system close by is helping to keep things unstable. This is not Aaron. Aaron's way out in the water, and Aaron's a big, gigantic hurricane with wind gusts up to 165 miles per hour, sustained winds at 140, as wide as 600 plus miles. It's pounding the folks that are down in Puerto Rico and now portions of Cuba, and we're at a category 4 for right now, and it's expected to move parallel to the coast. We're not expecting a direct hit. We're expecting it to possibly get closest perhaps over in North Carolina and swinging out to colder water where it'll begin to lose some strength. Now, we are expecting for the outer band possibly to get as close as 238 miles for us, and that's Thursday afternoon. And that's iffy, provided it stays on the track that it's on right now. But we're going to keep a close eye on that. And then as it goes out to water, it will actually begin to die out because of the coolness of the water tapping into that energy and just draining it. But dangerous rip currents and swells we're expecting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, possibly leaning into Friday. So let's break it down one day at a time. Temperatures in the 70s, low 70s, well below the norm for this time of the year. And we're looking at 74 in Georgetown, for example, 76 in Cambridge, and we're expecting 76 in Snow Hill and Pocomoke City. For Tuesday along the coast, we're looking in the 70s, cloudy skies, rain, very blustery conditions, winds out of the east. You see that spotty shower activity for Tuesday, and then Wednesday we stay cloudy, winds coming off of the water, staying pretty active for us at this time. Our chances of rain will stay elevated for Tuesday, so in the 30s for us on Wednesday and Thursday, but the winds will then begin to pick up majorly as we go into Thursday with 45 mile per hour wind gusts. Thursday's going to be the big time windy day for the coast, not very friendly at all. And then for Thursday, we see scattered showers, but then here's the outer band of Aaron, expect to get just close enough to perhaps affect us, but not directly. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Dangerous swells and rip currents Wednesday and particularly Thursday, where we're looking for 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts, Charlie.
Thank you, Paul. Funeral services for former Delaware Governor and Congressman Mike Castle are taking shape. A visitation for Mike Castle will be held at Chandler Funeral Home in Wilmington. That'll go from 5 to 8 p.m. next Thursday, with overflow parking available at St. Mary Magdalene Roman Catholic Church on Sharpley Road. A funeral mass for Castle will be at St. Joseph on the Brandywine Church at 10:30 a.m. Friday, and a celebration of life will follow at the Wilmington Country Club. More on Castle's legacy and funeral arrangements, check out CoastTV.com. Dunkin' Donuts is seeking final site plan approval for a drive-thru store in Milton. On your screen now is where the Dunkin' Donuts would be located at 403 Broadkill Road. The Planning and Zoning Commission is set to discuss this Tuesday at 6:30. Dunkin' first made its pitch to the town in the fall of 2024. The original plans call for over 2,800 square feet for the coffee chain restaurant.
To Rehoboth Beach now, the city says routine maintenance will take place at the Rehoboth Avenue drawbridge. That's happening tomorrow, August 19th. The city says the drawbridge will open between 10:30 and 11 a.m.
Here's what's coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 8:30. Relive the Berlin bathtub races. I was a part of that. Then, as always, you can catch the final score at 10:30 p.m. And coming up, pawn shops. They're becoming a big back-to-school shopping destination. The items parents are turning to there. Stay tuned on Coast TV News at 5. Pawn shops. They are becoming popular with parents who are shopping for their kids. The result, a rise in sales, up 4% at those stores in the last quarter. That's according to Easy Pawn, which is a chain with hundreds of locations nationwide. Some of the items that are hot sellers include shoes, laptops, mini fridges for college dorms. One main reason items there are much less expensive, sometimes as much as 50% off. Meanwhile, countries that make many back-to-school items, they are facing increased tariffs from the U.S.
Exciting news for people who eat at Olive Garden. Restaurants have raised menu prices due to rising costs and inflation, but Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl is coming back for the same price it used to be. That deal returns next week for $13.99. Customers can order unlimited pasta along with unlimited super salad and breadsticks. That promotion is August 25th through November 16th. 20 states and Washington, D.C. are suing the Trump administration over conditions the Justice Department put on federal grant money for crime victims. They say the administration is improperly withholding millions of dollars to force states to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. The states are asking a federal judge to strike down conditions. The grant money helps crime victims with medical bills, counseling, and other services. The states say if the funds are withheld, they'll have to either fully cooperate or scale back or shut down those programs.
When driving, it can sometimes feel like pedestrians just come out of nowhere, but DelDOT is a friendly reminder to ensure their safety as well as yours. When approaching a bus stop, for instance, watch carefully for riders getting off and crossing the street. They may be hidden from your line of view. Also, be patient. You may be in a rush, but it's always important to watch out for pedestrians crossing the street.
Let's take a live look into Ocean City. One more check on our forecast after this.
Up new on Coast TV News at 6, $13,000 disappeared from Ocean Pines Golf Club, who police say did it and what charges they could face.
Here's a look at Lewis right now, courtesy of our Irish Eyes camera. Lots of overcast conditions continuing to be the case. Listen, we're looking for it to stay a bit breezy for us actually in Lewis till about 7 o'clock. Overcast with a few leftover lingering sprinkles here and there. Susan Miles from Salisbury, all the way to Salisbury. You're our umbrella giveaway winner, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. I'm keeping you updated on the latest watches and warnings for our area that's going to stay active as a result of the influence of Aaron. Call 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away and is sponsored by the law offices of Bruxted, Mendalis, and Federico. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. Now, you'll notice I typically don't write on the extended forecast red lettering, but I want you to pay attention. Dangerous swells and rip currents Wednesday and especially Thursday. Those winds are going to pick up at 45 miles per hour or more.
All right, Paul, thank you, and thanks for joining us here for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.